Welcome, Hades here. In this video, I want to show you how I've been studying the work of Krenz Cushart. Yeah, I get a lot of questions on, how do you study another artist? And it's not as complicated as it seems. As far as drawing figures goes, the one thing that I pay attention to the most, I'd say, is shape. So here are some figures that I try to draw in Krenz's style. Okay, so I really tried to focus on what kind of shapes he would use, and I'd have his work next to me as well, and I'd look at it. I'd check what kind of shape does he use for the shoulder or the forearm or leg, and then I'd take that same shape and apply it to my own work. So some I like more than others. I think out of all of them, I think the closest I got was maybe this one right here. But it was fun. I haven't actually done this before to try and draw in his style. Normally I just kind of incorporate stuff that I see from other artists, and it just becomes something different to their work. And another thing I guess is worth mentioning is the gesture in the pose, right? I did draw some of these, well, I think all of them from reference. However, I think I won't point them out, but the ones that I drew from reference, but I really changed the reference a lot, I think those turned out the best. The ones where I stuck to the reference too much, I don't think they came out as good. So I think that's another thing to consider as well. If your reference is not very good and you don't really know how to capture gesture, then you're going to be missing an important element from Krenz's work. If you haven't, it is worth studying gesture so that you can understand what kind of gesture is in Krenz's work. Yeah, for me, I just think it's a big factor besides the shape design. So let's just go over some basic shape design principles. Okay, so it's not too complex. This is pretty much it, or at least the things that I think about. First thing is asymmetry. Okay, when it comes to drawing figures and doing the kind of art that I do, and probably a lot of you want to do, asymmetry is very important because you want to guide the viewer's eyes somewhere, right? If it's symmetrical, you don't really know where to look, right? And that's a compositional idea as well. The eye path. I mentioned it in one of my painting videos. If you take a look at this shape here, right? When you look at it, your eye might start here, and then just make it sway to here, right? So I'm kind of saying, hey, look over here. This is the important part. Or maybe, we have one side that is more detailed, right, complex, and one side is more simple. So by doing that, I guide the viewer's eyes by saying, don't worry too much about this side. You'll see it, but most of the information is there. But if I add detail on this side and this side, the viewer doesn't really know where to look at, and then for that moment they're confused. And that could be okay if you're doing illustration, but if you're designing stuff for animation games and whatnot, with animation, viewers only see things for a very short amount of time, so you don't want them to get lost, right? You want to keep them engaged as much as possible, and so you've got to do the work of guiding their eyes to the right place. So yeah, asymmetry, very important. It just makes things more interesting in general, and you're giving the viewer somewhere to look. So the next thing, which I guess we could group together, is these two: simple versus complex and straight versus curve. I have talked about this in another video as well. So basically what we're talking about is, one side is less detailed and the other side is more detailed. You don't want to bombard the viewer or your audience with too much information everywhere, right? You got to have places of rest, or otherwise it just gets too confusing. Talked about this before, how things need to work on the abstract scale. I mean, all of this is abstract, right? I mean, if you look at this shape on its own, it doesn't mean much. I mean, you could look at it and think, oh, maybe that looks like so and so, but once you put all these shapes into context, now it starts to look like something. But at its foundation, how can we make our abstract shapes appealing and organize them in a way that's interesting to look at? This could be a lower leg or a forearm. If you've seen Marco Bucci's video on shapes, you see how he breaks down shapes from paintings, and then he puts them out of context and they just look like nothing. But you put them together, then now we've got this thing that we call whatever. Next thing is the basic shapes that we've all learned, right? Circles, squares, and triangles. Alright, so you'll notice some artists tend to favor certain shapes. Maybe they might use all of them. Like TB Choi, if you look at some of her older work when she was doing more Disney stuff, a lot of the shapes were, very round. But lately, what I've seen is more triangles and squares. But she knows how to work with everything, so. But yeah, so you want to notice what kind of shape is dominating, right? So if we take these two, right, it's the same idea, right? We've got a peak up here and here, but one's way more angular, and one's more curved, right? So this would be dominated by circles, and this one we could say is dominated by triangles. So that's one thing to look at, right? So the way they use the way they design their shapes, is it more circular or more angular? And then the last thing, which probably you won't have to think about too much when you're just learning how to draw figures, is big, medium, small. Right? I think this will be more important once you start designing stuff, maybe the costume and accessories, and or if you're doing viz dev background stuff. I think that'll play more of a part. The figure, it kind of takes care of itself with big, medium, and small, so you don't have to worry about it too much. But the shapes themselves, that's what we want to, apply. Try and apply all these things to. Okay, so well, let's talk about these, right? So I've learned a lot about shape from Force, and we talk about forceful shapes, and it's all of this stuff, right? But we use the idea of force. So again, this is symmetrical, so not good, right? Not bad, but if we're looking for an appealing shape that guides the eye, these aren't good. Do use parallel shapes sometimes, but very rarely. Most often, if I do want to use a parallel shape, I will instead make it taper inside, just a little bit, to avoid having it completely parallel. Yeah, so yeah, and these marks that I've made, they're just the apex of each side. So I mean, that could be one way you decide on what's simple and what's complex, like how many different peaks and troughs there are in that side of the shape. So yeah, that's all there is to shape design. I'm sure you can go in more detail, but as far as it goes, as far as like what I think about, it's just this stuff. Yeah, although it's not a lot, it is difficult to apply well. Like, yeah, just because you know this stuff doesn't mean your art's gonna be amazing. But it will be a lot better. So I think the best way to understand this stuff is go find artists that you like. Look for these things, right? If you're getting into character design, you can look for this as well. Not all artists use all of this stuff. Like Adventure Time, right? They use a lot of parallel shapes that wouldn't be considered forceful, but it still looks good. But I guess it just depends on how you want your art to look. Yeah, so, alright, so I'm going to take these ideas and we're going to look at some of Krenz's work and see if we can identify this stuff. Okay, so we have this here. So I've collected, you can find a lot of Krenz's figure drawings to like his studies on his Facebook page. No, I just grabbed all of them and I downloaded them onto my computer and I put them in a PureRef file, and that's how I study them. Although I've come up with my own way of like studying this stuff in a more efficient way, I'd say. I'll talk about that a bit later. But okay, let's look at some shapes here. So okay, so this the leg shape. Right. Oh, got a straight there. And then the other side, what do we have? A curve. Right? And that's just a natural part of the human body, right? Your shin is typically straight, and then you got your calf at the back. Right? So just nature is designing asymmetrical shapes for us. So we just gotta follow it, or streamline it. And don't worry about any bumps or whatever on the front of the shin. So so we've got that kind of shape. You can see it is pretty parallel at this point here. So parallel shapes aren't bad, but you don't want to use them everywhere, unless that's what you're going for, like an adventure time sort of thing. Let's see. Okay, look at this arm over here. Right. And then on the other side of the forearm, we got this curve and then this straight. Right, so going back to those, where the apex is, we got an apex right here. Whereas this side is just, it's just straight. So I could say, okay, this is my simple side. And then the other side is complex. Okay, you got to do this everywhere. So as you're starting out, this is just going to be a bit overwhelming. But eventually, if you just keep doing it over and over again, it's just going to become automatic. Okay, so just keep thinking about it. You've got to be a designer here. You can't just let things happen unless you've got loads of experience with this stuff where your shape designs is just good. Just because you can't help it. Okay, let's look at this leg over here, and on the other side of the leg we've got this, right? So again, notice we've got asymmetry here, right? Even though they're both basically the same kind of thing, right? We've got this kind of idea, and then the bottom side is like that idea. Well, that kind of idea, yeah. So it's not symmetrical, right? We've got this peak here and this peak here. Alright, so we've got an asymmetry. So if I just draw that on the shape itself, right, that's what I'm seeing. We've got this nice curve of the back. Again, it's just, that's just the way the body is, right? But when you're drawing this, you might see bumps all over the back, but you're looking at your reference and you're saying, hey, I'm gonna ignore all of that and I'm just gonna simplify it. Okay, and then we can compare this side with the other side of the torso. Right, we've got the head sticking out. You got the chest. You got this. You got that. So this side is complex, and this is simple. I can't even write. Okay. So it isn't difficult to understand what's happening, but maybe hard to execute in the way Krenz does it. Okay, let's look at the fingers, right? So and as far as big, medium, small goes, we've got big shapes, and then you could call these shapes on the hand small, Well, there's a variety of sizes of shapes all over the place. But yeah, so the finger, if I take let's take this shape over here. We've got that, right? So it should be obvious. This side is complex and this side is simple. Okay. Again here, we've got all these bumps on this side, but the inside is just going to be straight. I mean, obviously I can't see, but I imagine that's what choice would be made. And then on this finger, right, isn't much. Wait, did I draw over? There's a slight bump. But if there isn't any bumps on either side, alright, we're not going to make it parallel. We're going to, if you notice, they are tapering in. Alright? So at the very least, however shapes taper. Okay, let's look at another one. Alright, so more stuff. Okay, leg. Look at this side of the shape, and then the other side. Alright, so this is complex, this is simple. Right, and if you're designing stuff, I mean, you can have different levels of simple and complex if you've got lots of stuff going on. Or if you're doing illustrations. Alright, so same thing here. So maybe you don't know which one is simple and complex, because I really don't know for this one. But, going back to the principles, I know I've got an asymmetry. And, yeah, again, talking about the primitive shapes, you can see that here, it's just more round, isn't it? It's got the triangle in there. So you could say, okay, we've got a combination of circles and triangles. So the triangles aren't sharp, they're smoother, right? Not so sharp at the top. Once you understand this, you'll just see it everywhere. Like you can't unsee it. Okay, look at this forearm. There's a slight bump there, and on this side we've got this and this. And that. Oh, yes, very nice shape. Yeah. This is stuff you want to ingrain into your mind and into your arm. So the front of the torso here, there's quite a lot of details. If you want to streamline stuff, which I usually do, so I will. If I see a lot of bumps and I don't want them to be a lot of bumps, I'll just, I'll make it something more simple. What else do we have? So you'll notice that Krenz likes to use a lot of inside shapes, like this. I mean, you can tell there's an underdrawing here, so he did a sketch and then maybe turn the opacity down in that layer and then drew over it. All these shapes, these are all just fun shapes. Right, once I studied his work, at the beginning I was like, oh, what are all these shapes? It must be some really complicated anatomy. But really, it isn't. I mean, all this stuff represents anatomical stuff. Like, this is the glutes. But I think he's just having fun with a lot of these shapes. Like this, this bit here. That doesn't really represent anything anatomically speaking, as far as I know, but it's pretty fun. It's like an action figure, like with the way you connect the pieces. And also notice the hand as well. Notice how the details, there's no details inside really, right? The focus is on the outside, the silhouette. Right, and if I've kind of taken that, I've actually learned that from a lot of artists. The outside is more important than the inside. But depending on where you're, I mean, if it was a close-up of the hand, you'd probably want more details, but the hand is not the star of the show here, right? So it doesn't need to have so much detail. Okay, look at this shoulder. Right? How many of you would think to do that? I mean, you might have, but it's nice to see it. See someone else do it. Right? And then you can be like, okay, I'm gonna use that. Let me try use that in my own work. Okay, yes, let's look at some more. Oh, let's look at his ear. Look how angular that ear is. Right? And again, see if you can identify what shapes you're seeing. Normally I'll see squares. I don't see much squares in Krenz's work, in terms of the anatomy, of course. Well, you can say the back of the skull is quite square. I think for the most part, circles and triangles dominate. But yeah, let's continue. What else do we have? Okay, so again, you should be able to see a lot of round shapes in this one. Okay, look at this forearm. Great use of circular shapes. And again, you can see the asymmetry. It's not very clear with the rounder shapes. Right, but for me, I see apex there, asymmetry. We've got this. Right, I mean, you'll understand the more you learn about anatomy is not going to make your work magically better. Because shape design and gesture is going to make your work better. But having knowledge of the anatomy can help you understand what these artists are doing. Like, what is this? Right? I mean, that's what the bicep does. It has like, it does this, and then from here it will go into the forearm. That's from a side view, by the way. Let's see if I can draw it. Right, so the bicep inserts between, the muscles that are in the forearm that I can't remember the names of. Yeah, and then that's why there's an overlap here as well. Right, you can see a T-line right here. Okay, more round shapes. Got this, right? It's complex, simple. Yeah, all these anatomical shapes inside, right? Think about those second. Right, focus on the outside. Look at the back. There's no bumps on the back. Very streamlined. Whereas on this side, there's more detail, like the head, and then the arm sticks out. You've got this versus the back, which is just more just straight and not much detail. I mean, you've got little bumps here, but compared to the other side, this side is more detailed. Right, so it works on small shapes, shapes within your shapes. So yeah, you can look out for it everywhere. Yeah, so I mean that's actually a good thing to try and aim for, is when you're drawing your figures, have one side of the shape be more detailed than the other side. Okay, and let's look at this one. I think it's pretty cool. Again, look at the hand. This side would be simple, and then all this inside of the silhouette would be complex. Yeah, so there's a lot to take in from studying other artists. Like, look at this overlap here. Like, for me, that's just something I notice, and I'd want to add that to my own work, because I think it's cool. Yeah, so I mean, I'm just kind of repeating myself here, aren't I? Let's just look for it. Right, maybe you're looking at an artist you like, and you think, oh, maybe what if I did this instead? You could always do that as well. Maybe save that once you've got a better grasp of shape design. For now, just kind of find this stuff in professional work and just take it for what it is, and then once you get a better understanding of it, you can start adding your own choices. Yep, we've got simple, complex on that side. Yeah, look at the back, this back shape, very angular. Right, you're not going to see that on a real human, right? So that's a design choice. We've got this. Right, I'd probably compare these two sides, so maybe this side is simple. So I'm seeing more apex, more peaks and troughs on this side versus this side. Or we could say they meet at that point there. Right, yeah, so just spend time thinking about this stuff. And again, look at the very angular shoulder. Right, and then, you know, once it gets to the chest, that's more of a, you know, it's a softer shape. So, you know, it's chosen round shapes, but it's still angular. Right, so we've got that. And then this peak here is quite angular. So, you know, mix and match. Well, if you're studying, just notice these things. Yeah, so like I said, once you start learning this, you'll just see it everywhere, and eventually you just can't help but do this. Yeah, but I hope that made it clear how this is everywhere. Again, you know, some artists might choose to break rules. That's fine. You know, they might be doing that for a reason. They might want you to not pay attention to a certain area, or they're giving you areas of rest. Right? If everything's too detailed, then you get overwhelmed. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just show you what I think is probably the best first stage of trying to internalize this. Okay, so the first step, in my opinion, I mean, I'm sure other artists have their own way, but for me, the first step is just copying, you know, art that I like a lot. Okay, so when it comes to figures, I think it'll probably be best if you already have an understanding of how to draw the figure, from whichever you know, teacher you get it from, Proco or Michael Hampton, you know, whoever, and then use that idea of how to construct the figure and apply it to this. I think that would work best. So the thing you want to avoid is just trying to, you know, spending like half an hour or whatever trying to copy this perfectly. I think that'd be a waste of time. Maybe you do it once, I don't know, but doing that over and over again, I think that's a waste of time. So what I like to do is I have this app, right? It's not free, unfortunately, but I think it was $15 at the time, so not bad, I guess. Normally, I guess what you're supposed to use this for is to, you know, just to you know, take your reference photos that you have on your computer, and then, you know, select folder, and then choose that folder, and then it'll just randomize photos from your folder, and then it will, you know, so you can see the times here, right? You've got 30 seconds, 45 seconds, blah blah blah. So you can cycle through those references for whichever time frame you want, or you could do you could structure it like it would be an atelier or something. I mean, whatever you want. So the way I like to use this is, you know, I'll take art that I like, you know, like this, and then I would just create a folder of those, and then I'd select that as my references, and then I guess if you're new to this, maybe try them yourself to 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes. But I guess as time goes on, try and draw this, I guess, within 2 to 5 minutes, I think is probably a good goal. So yeah, so I was drawing figures as normal from reference, and I got to a point where, you know, I just want my physics to look better. So I did this, and I grabbed a bunch of photos, put them in there, and instead of drawing from reference, I would just copy this every single morning. And I still do that with other with other people's art. I don't draw from reference anymore. Whether that's a good idea, I don't know. It's just what I've been doing, right? Which I think is better, especially because I want to do animation, and I want to internalize animation stuff, if that makes sense. But anyways, I use this. I'm not going to use it today, but I'm just mentioning it. If any of you know a free alternative to this, you can mention it down below for other people. But yeah, I made studying this kind of art my warm-up every day, and I still do that every day. Alright, so let's get rid of that. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw this to the best of my ability that I can, and I'm gonna try not to spend too much time. But yeah, let's just draw. Oops. Just try and draw what you see. Just do it quickly. Don't think too much about it. Don't make it stiff. Right? I'm gonna try and capture the energy in the pose, capture the shapes, and then just be done with it. These aren't precious drawings that you need to, that you need to save or whatever. You're going to be doing this over and over and over again. Okay, and then once you've done them, I think maybe the next step would be to pick a body part like the torso and try to draw torsos in said person style, and then arms and then legs, just so that it doesn't make it too overwhelming. If you're trying to draw someone from reference, and then everything in that person's style, it's going to be quite hard. So if you can just do body parts at a time, I think that'll make it more manageable. Alright, so I'll just show you what I do. Right, I don't mind if it's different or if something's off, because I'm going to draw it and I'm going to analyze it afterwards and be like, okay, I'm getting this part right, but I'm doing this part wrong. So next time I draw it, I'm going to pay attention to what I did wrong. But I'm talking too much, let's just start. Alright, Krenz uses very energetic lines, so you want to do that as well. Don't draw slow lines. It's not going to help you capture the same energy. You want to capture the shapes and the energy. Right, so remember what you're studying, right? So the shape here, okay? Line quality, not as much of a concern, but the shape is important. I mean, don't make your line so messy that even you don't understand what you just drew. even in these waves, you know, you got shape design. Look at the shape that's there. That's intentional, but just worry about the figure for now, I suppose. Right, so I know I'm making proportional mistakes, but I don't mind, because I'm going to do this over and over again. I mean, not in this video, but that's the mindset I have when I'm studying. Right, every morning I do this. Every morning. Right, so you might be wondering, so when do you stop? Well, you stop once you've got everything that you want from this artist. Well, you can come back to him later, right? So if you think there's nothing there for you, you can come back later. Once you've learned more foundation. I mean, the stronger your foundation, the more you'll be able to get out of this. Well, if you got a good foundation in gesture, you get more out of this. So yeah, if you haven't got a good foundation, you can still do this, but just don't forget your foundation. Right, so although I have been talking about like learn shape and whatnot, you're still gonna have form. if you're drawing 2D shape without the idea of form in your mind, it's just not gonna look very good. Alright, don't worry about mistakes. Again, you're gonna be doing this over and over. Yeah, so what I do is, just go on Pinterest or whatever, or Instagram. Well, I don't really go on Instagram, but I will, find stuff. I'll find an artist that I really like, and I'll just go and save a bunch of their work, and then I will save it in a folder, and then choose that folder in the app, and then I would try and copy their work, within five minutes. I'll give myself a time limit of 5 minutes to just recreate that work. And then maybe the first time it's terrible, but as days go on, I find myself, I'm getting closer to that artist's work. Alright, and then, like I said, if you feel like you're not improving, just move on, and then come back to that artist after, I don't know, whenever, a few weeks, a month, and try again, see if you've got anything different. And of course, foundations, don't forget the foundations. Alright, and then that's pretty much done. So all these fancy shapes inside, like I mentioned earlier, do them second, if you can help it. Yeah, that is it. So what you can do is, check your shapes. Yeah, check your shapes, see if there's anything you might have missed. or if your proportions are just so off, just take this and just overlap it on top. But I'm not going to do that today, because that is not my focus for now. My focus is, am I getting the shapes correct? Am I getting the asymmetry, the simple versus complex? Am I maintaining the roundness or, I don't know, angular nature of the shapes? I want to think about that. That's my focus. The proportion stuff, that's mostly for, you know, when your regular figure drawing practice. Well, unless you want to. I don't know. So what I can do is just go and change the color of my pen and just check my shapes. Okay, so I got a simple side here and a curve here. Same on the other leg. Alright, I've got that. The knee shape is sharp. I've got this. I'm kind of missing this bit here. We've got this. You can see the glute on this side. Alright, I want to make sure I maintain that, like the ratio of this side to this side, right? I want to maintain that. I missed this T-line over here. There's a lot going on with the hand, so I'm going to leave that for now. I think I got this side correct. Yeah, I kept it around. This is round, and the back shape, you know, round. Yeah, I think this is a pretty good study. I think this shape here is rounder than what I made it, but I think it still works. Yeah, so just do this, compare. Right, the ideas that I mentioned earlier in the video: asymmetry, simple versus complex, straight versus curve, and you know, the nature of the shapes, whether they're angular or more curved. Think about those. That's it really. I'm not sure if a lot of you expected it to be more involved, but it really isn't. There's just a lot of copying and looking for those things that I just mentioned. So okay, so I've done that. Alright, just keep going. This one is more sketchy compared to the other one, I'd say. So I think the shapes in the other one were like way more clearly defined. So it might be harder to study one like this, but we're going to do it anyway. Yeah, so I just chose to, you know, get rid of the bumps. Right, you can do this with any artist, really. But like I said, the stronger your foundation is, the more you'll get out of this, because you'll understand more of what an artist is doing. It's like painting, right? if you barely have a grasp of, you know, how to paint and the foundations of painting, it's going to be hard to copy other artists, right? So this is the same idea. Yeah, so depending on how this video is received, I was actually planning to just do a little mini series on studying Krenz. So like I was saying earlier, how you go through the different body parts, I was gonna do that. So yeah, we'll see. And then at the very end, I'll make a recording of myself trying to draw in his style. I think I have my wrist too low. It's okay. See all these shapes, you're just having fun with it. Like obviously, I know it's maybe an indication of serratus interior, but I think he's just mostly having fun. And that ear shape, very angular. Definitely got the red head wrong, but it's okay. Don't like where that turned out. I think I made it too small. Let me start again. But just the arm. That's fine. Again, try not to dwell on little stuff, because you can do it over and over again, so it's fine. Okay, let's just go over it again with a go over this with a different color pen and just check if I captured the shapes or not. Just check if I captured the shapes or not. Okay, so for the leg, I think I could have divided out a bit more. So I see this and then that. But mine's more of that. Maybe like that, and then this is mostly fine. I think I made the leg too far away. Okay. This shape. The back, I'm not really sure what this is. So, I don't know, I think I just went with my own tendencies. But for the most part, it's quite curved. And then you got a straight down here. This, I think I messed up. Well, I think I just pulled it, the leg back too much. Okay. I think this is a bit too symmetrical. Peak should be more higher up. Maybe close to that, but a bit. Have the peak bit be a bit wider. This, I guess, is fine. This is fine. Well, that made the arm a bit too long or something. The hands are mostly fine. We've got this square shape of the shoulder, which I think I captured. The chest I might have made too small, but the shape is there. The neck shape, the head shape I didn't pay too much attention to. And then the back, I think I captured this just fine. And then this is quite angular. Okay. Yeah, this, I got the shapes there, but something just feels off. Like it has an asymmetry, like that. Which I missed, I guess. I don't know, in my head it was this way. I think that's what I'm used to, because that's what the actual anatomy does. Like the bicep is higher up than the tricep is higher up than the bicep. Okay, we got this pretty well, but I think the peak is a bit sharper. And then this was just a straight. Okay. Next one. Krenz is really good for studying dynamic torsos. Okay, so this one's torso is a lot larger. Not what I'm typically used to drawing, but let's give it a go. And depending on your level, maybe you could try and push the reference further, you know? It's like, what if you did, you know, so-and-so? And yeah, you should enjoy this process. You're just studying artists that you like, right? But yeah, hopefully, I don't know if my emphasis on how good this was for me, copying other artists, and what role it still does play in my improvement. And I'm mostly focusing on animation at the moment, so that's taken up most of my time. But all this stuff applies to animation as well. We have the head too forward. Maybe I can fix that. There's just so much going on. I can't separate it. But I think that's pretty much done. But I can definitely see stuff that I've made mistakes on. Okay, so do you think my torso is a lot larger? As in, I should be able to just do that to fix most of it. By the way, let's look at these shapes. So again, the back, I don't mean is sketchy, but the idea is that, and then I've got this. Not much going on in the front here. I got the asymmetry of the forearm. Got this shape. Didn't get the T-line. Got this. This one probably might be the most confusing if you have like zero knowledge of anatomy. This, I draw it properly. Okay. I missed that shape. I think more like that. But the shapes are very round here. I think this should be lower down there. This is pretty spot on. This is fine, although the divide, like this length is... Are they about half? I think I changed that. Like this part is longer than this. But that's fine, got the design overall. I got the design overall. Simple, complex. The hand on this side, yep, not bad. If the hand was a lot easier than this one. The head, I think I screwed up. Okay. Good study. Let's do maybe one or two more. Don't really like the legs. I think, yeah, I definitely made them too small in some ways. Okay, it's fine. This. Like, shoulder should be, the shoulder should be more back. That's fine. It's got my too close to the back, or something. I don't know. It's fine. Right, that's pretty much done. Alright, let's send those. Okay, so the first thing I notice is the leg shape. Got this, which is fine, but you can see there's quite a sharp dip, and the peak is more on this side, whereas I put it in the middle. Yeah, notice how square the knee is, right? Really cool. Leg shape I think is fine. This one is fine, but I just think I got this size. I think I got the foot in the wrong, but it doesn't matter. Again, this thigh has its peak a lot lower, but I drew it higher. Alright, so keep notes of these things, like write it down or something, whatever you want to do, so that when you do it again, think about those things and see if you can correct it to the point where you're getting down most of the shapes and you barely have to think about it. Definitely exaggerate this part. Alright, we got that. The hands are kind of messed up. I didn't. Okay. I think I did too many steps on this one. That's fine. Definitely captured that angular bit on the back. Really like that. Got this. The chest. I think for the most part, I think should be angled more down a bit. Head shape. I mean, this is just a rough head shape anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. Unless you want to use this as a template for when you draw, like, mannequins or whatever. Ear shape is there. Shoulder shape. I think I got it, it's just a bit messy. Oh no, maybe I didn't. Arm shape. See that shape here? The sides are pretty parallel, but it's fine. I think that's the only shape I don't mind using. Like, I don't use this or this. Don't like those. But parallel, there is a place for it. Yep, I got that one. Yeah, not bad, steady. I think this leg should be longer, maybe that was it. By the way, it doesn't matter. We're gonna draw it again, over and over. Not in this video, but you are. Okay. So yeah, I'll stop there. I hope that was useful. Right, so, well, let's just revisit shape basics, right? You gotta use this stuff so often that you just can't help but use it in your work. Okay, so it takes a while. It's not hard to learn, but to internalize it so that you just do it automatically, so you don't have to think about it. You gotta do it over and over and over and over and over again. So if you're new to this, you gotta keep this in your mind as you're drawing. Always, from now on. Although I did use a symmetrical shape there, but we'll ignore that. Yeah, I hope this video was useful. If it is useful, I'll continue making a series on Krenz Cushart, his figures, and we'll go through the different body parts and then focus on the individual shapes for that. And then at the end of it, we'll try to draw figures in his style, which I've already done, but maybe it might be useful to watch me do it live again. I emphasize, I'll give you, okay, this one here, this is pretty much all from imagination. The only thing I got was, I think I just saw the torso, and then from there I just drew the torso, and then from there I just got rid of the reference and then just drew the rest of my own. Yeah, so, yeah, all these inside shapes, like all these fancy shapes inside, I'll put those after, until I had like the actual outside shape done. So those came after. So I don't think that Krenz draws that first. Or maybe he does, I don't know. I think he doesn't. I'll make a judgment once this video is up, and then if I think people want to see a continuation on this, I'll continue. If not, maybe I'll do another artist instead. Alright, until next time, bye bye.